Hi, welcome to my video on the review of find the intersection of a parabola and a line and two parabolas. And as in all my reviews, you can treat it as a quiz. And this one has a total of 33 marks. So you can mark, do each page, do each question, give yourself a mark if it's correct or partial marks, total up the bottom of each page. When you get all the questions done, total your score out of 33, convert it to a decimal by dividing denominator into numerator. Move your decimal 2 places to the right to get your percentage. So let's start the review. Find the intersection algebraically. We have a y equals x squared plus x plus 2 is a quadratic. Because it's in standard form with a degree of 2, ax squared plus bx plus c, and y equals x plus 6 is a line, so we're going to find the intersection of the parabola and the line algebraically. We let the x's equal each other. Notice that y equals x squared plus x plus 2 and y equals x plus 6, because they're both equal to y, then they're equal to each other by transitive property or substitution. Now we'll move all the x's to the left side. So x makes it a negative x plus 2. 6 makes it a negative 6. Have all the terms on the left side equal to 0. Simplify, they cancel out. So I get x squared minus 4 equals 0. Now I have two ways to do this one, and let me do two ways just in case. You can factor x because it's a quadratic. X squared, we can factor x squared minus 4 is the difference of two squares, so it's x and x. Factors of 4 to give you, notice there's no x in the middle here, 0x, so factors of 4 to give you a 0 is 2 and 2, and it's a plus and a minus. So x plus 2 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. X is negative 2, or x is 2. That's one way to solve it. Another way is to go x squared equals 4, move the 4 to the right side and make it plus. Do the square root of each side. But we got to do the plus minus on the 4. So square root of x squared is x, and plus minus 2. So there's two ways to get the answer. But in any case, we have x equals negative 2, so we're going to sub that, and it's best, if this is equation 1, this is equation 2, it's best to sub it into the linear equation. There's less working to do. You only got to put the x value in here and add on the 6. So we're going to sub it into number 2, so I'll write down number 2 equation. And we'll sub negative 2 in the place of x, and we'll get a 4. So x is negative 2, y is 4. That's 1 point. Now we also have x is equal to 2, and we're going to sub that into number 2 equation also. So number 2 equation, y equals x plus 6. X is 2. 2 plus 6 is 8. So when x is 2, y is 8. So we'll have 2 points of intersection. And you have 7 marks, so you can give yourself a mark for making them equal. You get a mark for this equation. You get 2 marks if you get these two. And you get a mark for this one, and a mark for this one, and a mark for writing down the 2 ordered pairs. 7 in total. Number 2, again, we have a parabola. Quadratic, because we got the x squared, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Degree is 2, so it's a quadratic parabola. And y equals negative x minus 2 is linear, degree 1. So that's a line. So we'll make the two sides equal. Again, because both of these equations are equal to y, and we'll let the x sides, the right sides, equal each other. And we'll move all x's to the left side, and we'll group them together as we move them. Move all the numbers to the left side. So the negative x becomes a positive x, the negative 2 becomes positive 2, and we add them up, and we'll get negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 2 equals 0. And in this equation we have a negative, so we have a negative 2, so I have two options, and again I'll do the two options for you. I can see that 2 is a GCF, but I don't want a negative, so I'll take the negative 2 out, factor the negative 2 out. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is x squared. 4 divided by negative 2 gives me negative 2x. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is a 1. And that gives me a quadratic, x squared minus 2x plus 1. That's factorable. X squared is x and x. Factors of 1 are 1 and 1. Product is plus 1. Sum is negative 2, so it's a negative 1, negative 1. Negative 2 can't equal 0, so x minus 1 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0. X is 1, and x is 1. Oops, 1. So I have the same value of x twice. And let's work this one out another way. I said I was going to do it another way. I could divide all the sides by all the terms by negative 2, because I have equation. When I do, I get x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Because it's an equation equal to 0, I can divide all terms by the negative 2. And I get this equation. And this equation, there it is right there. So this is factorable as x minus 1, which leads to x minus 1. So it's the same, just, you get the same answers. But here I factored the negative 2 out, and then I factored the trinomial. Here because in the equation I divided by the negative 2 and picked up the trinomial right away. But we have x equals 1, so when x equals 1, I'm going to sub it into, again, let's call this one equation 1, this one equation 2. I'm going to sub x equals 1 into the linear, which is number 2. So y equals negative x minus 2. Y equals, and x is 1, so the negative of x is negative 1 minus 2. So y is equal to negative 3. So when x is 1, y is negative 3. Notice the two values of x are the same. So we only get one value of y. So that means this parabola and this line intersects at one point. Really, we can say it's tangent. When a line hits a curve, not when a line hits a parabola or a cubic or any of those, a circle, at one point we say it's tangent. So it's this line is tangent to this parabola at this point. And we have 5 marks, so we can give 1 mark for that one, 1 mark for that one, and 1 mark for getting the 1, and 1 mark for getting the 3, and then 1 mark for the ordered pair. 5 marks in total. Total of your page is at a 12. Hopefully everything is going great. And find the intersection algebraically. We have again a y equals x squared minus 6x is a parabola, is a quadratic because degree is 2. The degree of y is 1. Degree of x here is 2. Degree of this x is 1. But the highest degree of any one term is a 2, so this is a quadratic. And this is a linear, degree 1 for the y, degree 1 for the x, so it's y equals mx plus b, so it's a line. So, how does the parabola and the line intersect? Well, we let x minus 6x equal negative 4x minus 5. And we move the x's to the right side. So negative 4x becomes a plus 4x. Minus 5 becomes a plus 5. Because when you move across the equal sign, you're transposing, you change the signs. This simplifies to negative 6x plus 4x is negative 2x equals 0. So x squared minus 2x plus 5 equals 0. Now, the product is 5 and the sum is 2. The only factors of 5 are 5 and 1. So this is not factorable over the integers or the rational numbers. So we can either probably use the quadratic formula. A is 1, B is -2, C is 5. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I've memorized it. B is -2, so it's the negative of a -2 plus or minus. B is -2. A is 1. C is 5. All over 2 times A is 1. Simplify that, we get negative of a negative is a positive. And I'll just go up here and simplify this on the side. So -2 squared is 4. So we squared, now we've got to multiply. So we get a negative times a positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 1 times 5 is 20. And that works out to be -16. So there's the -16 all over 2. 2 plus or minus the square root of 16 is 4. Because it's a negative, we have an I number. So now we divide 2 into 2 goes once, 2 into 4 goes 2, so we get 1 plus 2i. Because this is a negative number underneath the root, we have an imaginary number. Because we have an imaginary number which is not real means no intersection. There's no intersection, no points that the parabola and the line will meet, because you have imaginary numbers. And we have 5 marks for that one. And the marks are distributed this way. You can give a mark for that. You give a mark for the quadratic formula right here, plugging that all in. And you give a mark for getting the right I number right here, 1 plus or minus 2i. And since there's an I and you give the no intersection, give yourself 2 more marks, 5 marks in total. Okay, and 1 more to do. Oh, we got 2 more to do actually, because it's page 3 or 4. It's number 4. And let's see. We have equations are different. This is a quadratic again, because it's x times x is x squared, but it's in what we call the factored form. So we'll let both expressions equal each other because they're equal to y's. So there it is, they're equal. The only thing I got to do now is I'm going to simplify this equation so I can group all the x's on the right side. So I do a FOIL on these 2 binomials. Is x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. -1 times x is -x. -1 times 2 is -2. So this is already simplified, so just write it down. Now I'll simplify the inside. 2x and 1x, -1 is plus 1x minus 2. So I got that simplified. Now I multiply by 2, -2. -2 times x. -2 times x squared is -2x. -2 times x is -2x. -2 times -2 is a plus 4. So the left side and the right side are simplified. So now I transpose. -2x squared. X squared becomes a minus. -2x. Plus 4 becomes a minus 4. Plus 4 and plus 41 equals 0. Simplify. -2, -1 is, remember that's a -1, so it's a -3x squared minus 6x plus 45 equals 0. And again, I could factor or divide. Let's divide. Because I have an equation, I can divide by -3. That gives me x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. And it is x squared, so hopefully it's factorable. Let's see, x squared is x and x. Factors, product is 15. Product is -15. The sum is 2. 15 is 1 times 15 or 3 times 5. Factors of 15 to give me a 2, it's got to be 3 and 5. The product is negative and the sum is positive, so I have to have a -3 plus 5. Why? Multiply -15, add. Because the sum is positive, then the larger number is going to be positive. So x minus 3 equals 0. or x plus 5 equals 0. So x equals 3 or x equals negative 5. And we have two values of x, so let's x equals 3. And it makes no difference which equation I sub it into. So this is equation 1. This is equation 2. Let's sub 3 into, let's go into number 1. So y equals negative 2, x minus 1, x plus 2. There's number 1 equation. And I'm going to sub 3 in. And simplify. Negative 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. So that gives me negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. So I have a 3 and a negative 20 as one ordered pair where they intersect. Now I have to work out the other value of x, which is x equals negative 5. And I'm going to sub that into number 1. So y equals negative 2, x minus 1 times x plus 2. I'm subbing in a negative 5. Done. And I simplify the brackets by PEMDAS. Negative 6, negative 3. And a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. And 18 times 3 is 48, so it's a negative 48. So the intersection x is negative 5, y is negative 48. So there's 2 points of intersection. And if you, out of 8 marks, you can give a mark if you wrote down this equation. You get a mark if you simplified it to this equation right here. We'll do all that work right to here. We're right to here is mark, right? And if you factored it, you can give yourself a mark, like dividing out here. If you get these, it's a mark. If you worked out both answers, you get a mark each. And if you wrote down both ordered pairs, you get a mark. So 8 marks in total. 8 marks in total. That's when I do marking on a quiz. I always give part marks. If you work the problem through and you get a mistake, then I take it from what the mistake is and give yourself credit for what you got done. And number 5, find the intersection graphically. Find the intersection means you really solve the system of equations. So we have a parabola because of the x being squared, and we have a linear. So we got a parabola and a line intersecting. So because we have a parabola, and because it's vertex form, what I'll do is put the vertex in the middle of the table. So the vertex of this parabola is opposite of x minus 1 is 1 and negative 4. Again, remind you, if you put a 1 in the place of x here, 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 squared is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So when x is 1, y is negative 4. That's your vertex. It's the opposite of x minus 1, which is 1 plus 1, and keep the negative 4. We put the vertex in the middle of the table. Oops. Vertex is 1. Sorry. Make that 1, negative 4. So we have 1. So let's go with a 2 and 3 is to the right of that, and 0 and a negative 1 is to the left. Let's put a 2 into the equation and see what we get. 2 goes into the place on the place of x. And so when we work that out, we get 2, subtract 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. So on the other side, we have a negative 2 because it's symmetrical. And let's put 3 into the equation now. See what we have. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. So 4 and 4. So now we'll use this table of values to plot the parabola because we're solving it graphically. So we have the vertex of 1, negative 4. X is 1, y is negative 4. X is 1, y is negative 4 right there. We got 2, negative 2, 2, negative 2 right there. And we have 3, 4. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 3 points on this side, 2 here. And also 0, negative 2. So when I go 0, I go negative 2. And negative 1, 4. X is negative 1, y is 4. So notice we have the axis, vertex is here. This is the axis of symmetry through the middle. So when we move 1 unit to the right, 1 unit to the left, we have the same y values. Here's the axis of symmetry. When we move 2 units to the right, 2 units to the left, we have the same y values. So this is the parabola. I'm doing graphing, but really graphing is not a good way to solve it. It gives you an idea of what goes on, but it's really, the only way graphing is good if the points of intersections lie on the parabola that I'm doing and the points are integers. But if they're fractions or irrational numbers, then you can't get them. And let's look at the line now. We have the table down. Let's look at the line. Y equals mx plus b. So notice that m is 2, b is negative 2. M is the slope, so the slope is rise over 1, so it's 2 over 1. So we plot the y-intercept first. B is the y-intercept. Notice if you let x equals 0 right here, 2 times 0 is 0. If x is 0, y is negative 2. That's why that's the y-intercept. So we have negative 2 for the y-intercept. X 0, y, negative 2 is right there. So 0, negative 2. And the slope is rise 2, run 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And you notice that we have, I'm going to draw a line through those 4 points that I plotted now. And you can see that here it is. So there's the line. And notice that the line intersects the parabola at this point. So that point is x is 0, y is negative 2. And this point here, x is 3, y is 4. And that's the 2 points that the line intersects the parabola. And notice that this is, just to remind, this is a positive 2, so the parabola is opening upward from the vertex, which makes sense. If you take both of these points, I'm going to do 1 point for you and show you. If you take this point and plug it into both equations, it makes both equations true. If you take this point and plug it in both equations, it makes it true. So just take 1 point. So I'm going to take the point 0, 2. X is 0, y is 2. Let's sub that into each equation. So x is 0, y is negative 2. Y is negative 2, x is 0. And negative 2. So we simplify this, so we get a negative 1 on the inside. Squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 4. Negative 2 equals negative 2. So that point makes this equation true, so it lies on the parabola. But we also have to sub that point into the other equation. So x is 0, y is negative 2, y is negative 2, x is 0. 0 minus 2. And again, this point makes this equation true. So the point 0, negative 2 makes both equations true. Therefore, this point lies on the parabola and the line, so there's one intersection. So if you take the 3, 4 and do the same thing, plug it into this equation and this equation, you get both sides of the equation equal. So this point lies on the parabola and the line, so it's a point of intersection. And we have 8 marks there. So if you got the vertex, you give yourself a mark. If you did the table of values, you give yourself 2 marks for the table of values, 2 marks for the table of values. And if you did the graph correctly, you give yourself another mark. There it is down there. And If you picked up the slope and the y-intercept correctly, you give yourself another mark. If you graph the line, you give yourself another mark. If you have the 2 points of intersection, you give yourself 2 more marks, 8 in total. And you have all the questions done. Hopefully you go back to the beginning, you total up all your pages at the bottom, and when you get your total done, put it over 33, change it to a decimal, change it to a percent, and hopefully you got 100% on working out the intersection of a parabola and a line and 2 parabolas. So that brings us to the end of this unit on finding the intersection. If you liked this video and you liked all the videos, then click on the like button, the subscribe button, the notification. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for viewing. Bye-bye.